Listen to that, huh? Hi. This must be the beginning of the show because of the music.
I like this song.
It's a good song, isn't it? It's a good friend of ours wrote this tune. So now we can do something like this. This is how this will always start. And then we just get talking and then this kind of fades out.
Sure.
Just like this, you know? And then all of a sudden we're talking. Oh, yeah.
So, hi, Mike Hoffmann.
Well, hi. Oops. There we go. So that's the intro.
It's better when
Of
I
this.
see your back.
Is it better? Should I just face? I'm going to face this way. How about like this? That'll be a Picasso podcast.
So I was going to ask you some questions.
Oh, okay. I think we have company. Fire away. Oh, wait, should we say who we are or who you are, or doesn't
Yeah.
it matter?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Marissa Jablonski. And
I'm Mike.
I'm here with...
Mike. I'm Mike Hoffmann.
And the very first time we met, I asked you a question. What is it that you like? What do you like about what you do?
What do I like about what I do?
You said something about vapors.
Oh, the vapors? Maybe I must have said that's all. This is like 10 years ago now, right?
Yeah,
Probably officially, maybe even longer.
maybe longer because it would have been what?
It would have been 2004. Yeah, so it's 11 years ago,
Yeah.
and we became friends.
Yep.
And
At a bar, and you used to walk in with bleach blonde hair and bright blue eyes,
right,
ready to talk.
yeah, I remember that. my hair preceded me when I'd come into a room. But I think, yeah, if I mentioned something like vapors, I must have been talking about how ideas come out of the vapor.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot. So conjuring up ideas sometimes come out of some other dimension, which I believe are the vapors, considered the vapors.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I meant, right?
Yeah. I think so.
This one headphone kind of, it howls. It goes,
I wonder if I would even notice if I just put it on me.
You might. There's a new noise. Well, you know, this is...
They're running a small machine upstairs.
They are.
Probably making bread that they'll
You
offer
think so?
us.
That might be, you know what? That's the heater. This is the first time the heater's gone on.
Oh.
It's going down to 37. This podcast emanates from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And it's the late October, and the winds are howling outside. It's going to get down to 37 tonight. So the rumble you hear is the heater being fired up for the first time this season.
Oofta.
Yeah.
What do you call this studio?
I think it's affectionately called the canning kitchen.
We're in the canning kitchen.
Why don't you tell them about the canning kitchen? Because it's actually a canning kitchen.
One of the reasons I bought this house is because of the green hallways, the canning kitchen, and the toilet in the basement. And the canning kitchen was used when I bought it. It had 3 stoves in it, and a sink, and cupboards. And one of the cupboards had an old Barbie Corvette, convertible Corvette in it.
Really?
Yeah.
I can
Probably
only-
still in there. The cupboards are still behind there.
Really?
Yeah, we gotta tear them down one of these days.
That's cool. You know, my sisters had those Barbie doll things. They're collectible.
This one's in pretty bad shape.
Is it really? Was it beat up?
Mhm.
Were the people mutilated by children? We used to mutilate them.
Oh,
No, we didn't.
there were
do
no
that.
Barbies inside, just the Corvette.
Just the Corvette and the
Anyway.
case, the plastic case. Was it like a patent leather?
No, this is
Also, maybe it's a
Good question.
newer model.
it's probably still in there. We could peel it back,
We'll have to peel that back.
take it out.
Because my sisters had those
Mm-hmm.
way back in the old days.
Yeah.
But the Barbie carrying case would be
Wait.
it was
I
plastic,
know what
but it
you're
looked
talking
like
about.
patent leather. It was shiny
Yeah.
plastic.
Now I'm tracking. Okay.
And then you'd open it up, and there'd be Barbie would be in her and they'd kind of have it like a little closet,
Sure.
so it looked like it was her clothes were in a closet. and
Sure.
stuff. And then they used to have more elaborate things where you could actually get a little Barbie house.
I can't believe we're spending this much time talking about Barbies,
That's the whole idea, though.
which are really scary creatures.
Well, yeah, but go on, because you said that was one of the Barbie thing. Was
Yeah, so
then the
canning kitchen
the green
and
walls,
the toilet in the basement.
toilet in the basement.
I was so excited. I used to dream about a toilet in the basement when I was a kid. I just thought that would be the best idea ever. And then I found a house with a toilet in the basement. Turns out a lot of houses have toilets in their basements
Yeah,
because it's such a good idea.
we used to improvise toilets in the basement sometimes, so we didn't have a toilet in the basement.
Down the sewer drain or something?
No, usually in the stationary tub.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yep.
If we didn't feel like going upstairs,
Hopefully just number one, not number two.
it was just number one. Yeah, but
Okay.
well, this bathroom now is affectionately called Johnny, because I put up the poster of Johnny Cash
Oh,
backstage in 1966 at some theater in Germany. He was on tour. He's opening a beer and looking at somebody.
yeah.
So everybody, when they go to the bathroom, they say, I have to go visit Johnny.
That's a good idea.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
Once in a while.
I'm losing my voice.
So
Yeah.
you're a musician.
Yes.
So how long have you been a musician? Since when did you start?
I started, I guess officially, my first gig was, God, this is really,
You can just
well, I'll just say, yeah, I don't have to put it, well,
Ah.
I was in high school, so
There you go.
I was a, I guess a sophomore?
yeah. Weren't you 15?
Late sophomore. Yeah. Definitely. And, I was a drummer first. I should say this. My very first band was, was when I was in fourth grade. So there was a talent show at the school, at the grade school. And we had my teacher that year, fifth grade teacher, had a son who was in a popular band. They were a little older than we were. They were called the Fastbacks. And a guy named Rick Frederick was the leader. His dad owned Frederick Cement, so it's like your parents know the guy who owns Central Cement. They were competitors. There were the Fredericks trucks that were all red, white, and blue with stripes on the whatever they
Yeah.
call that thing in the back.
Sure.
And then Central. Those are the two big cement contractors. And so anyway, so they had a lot of money. So he had all this great gear, and then they would come in, and then my fifth grade teacher managed that band because her son played bass in the band,
Okay.
and they came in and they played for our class. They kind of went and they played the classes sometimes.
Wow.
And then I got inspired, and she said, "Well, you should let's get something going here." She was
Yeah.
very like, "Do it." So she said, "Don't say no, just do it."
She the one who gave you the pep talk about being shy?
Yeah. She said, "If you can't say no all the time," because I was too shy to do some of the things. I used to do these little things in rehearsal. Like they were basically interludes, because I used to watch this show. There was a show that was kind of like an after-school show with a rock and roll band, and they were hosts of the show, and so between guests they would play a little interlude, like
Sure.
boom. So I would play that on the drums all the time, and she said, "I like that. Why don't you use it?" And I said, "No, because I felt self-conscious because I copied it
Sure.
off of television." And she said, "No, you can't say no all the time. Just do that. It's good. It's good. I like that. People will like that."
Well, that's
So
actually sweet.
yeah. Well, she was really kind of a go-getter, really smart and very nurturing, and she had a condition. Her one wrist, one hand was, I don't know if it was a deformity.
But frozen?
It was like this.
Mm-hmm.
And she always carried like a handkerchief in it.
Oh, wow.
So we would do impressions of her.
Oh, no, don't
Oh, no,
put that.
not to make fun,
Okay.
but that was, everybody knew. But everybody liked her. So it was never meant to be mean. But so anyway, so that was my first band. And then and we played for, there were always talent contests. They
Sure.
would go like, okay, let's see, bring out the kids, let's do it. So Pete Strand, a very dear old friend, he and I were in one of those things, lip syncing to Peter and Gordon record. I think it was "Please Lock Me Away," and that one,
Oh, that
the
one.
one that the Beatles wrote. And but it was that we never did it. We rehearsed it, and we were all set up. We had our matching shirts. We had white shirts on and stuff. And then there wasn't time. They ran out of time. They said, "Well, you guys,
Next
you got to
time."
wait." So Pete and I were frustrated for a long time. So I think that really fed the fire later on when we started a band for real.
Yeah, you got pushy.
We got pushy.
Yeah.
Okay, no, we didn't take no
We
for
didn't
an
take
answer.
no, and you didn't say no.
We didn't say no. We didn't take no for an
Uh-oh.
answer. And then very quickly, so I played drums, in the school band, and then I kind of just didn't do anything with instruments for a while. And then in like sixth grade, when we saw, so Pete's older brother, Dave, had his band in the garage. Those guys were in high school already, so we were the pipsqueaks that they didn't want hanging around. So, but they were, basically the expression garage band is a real thing.
Sure.
Everyone rehearsed in garages.
Yeah.
So we watched them in the garage until they kicked us out, and we just said, that's it. That's the life.
Yeah.
They wear like tight pants and boots, and they have wide belts and loud shirts.
I want that life.
I want that.
I want that.
I want to go. What does she say? I want to go to the. I want to
go
go
to
to
there.
there. I want to go to there. And so, and then eventually that's what happened. And then we were the next generation in that house to rehearse in the garage.
Yeah.
And then we went on and on and on. Some of us into the major label.
And then you were in the very first band that was.
The very first band that was actually called Bare Nerve Blues. Well, the one in fourth grade, I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we had a name.
The Pipsqueaks, maybe.
Well, one I was with, the one I was in, where I played drums and a guy played a guitar. His name was Gary Olson. And one time we went over. Our first rehearsal was he didn't have any drums. I didn't have my drum with me, so I was banging on a telephone book for a while. And then I went, but there was a microphone, and I went like, oh, and there was a music book. And I said, well, what songs do you know in here? He said, well, let's do this. So it was like Red Roses for a Blue Lady. So I'm singing that in the microphone, and I'm singing it like Wayne Newton. Because my voice was really high, and so was his. So I'm singing, wrap up some red roses, and I'm doing this whole thing. And Gary's playing the guitar. He had a really nice a Gibson 335, a red one for anybody who knows. And so that was one band, and then we added another guy, and we did a couple of classes. And then Gary just wasn't very interested in that. He was kind of a shy guy. And he also had this... He had this face.
Mortified?
Yeah, his eye. He never blinked, and he never looked around. He just kind of looked off to the side with wide open eyes while he played. And it was just because he was concentrating. He wasn't scared, but it just didn't look good.
It doesn't look good. Poor Gary. Oh,
And so that put the charisma angle on me.
Gary
It was like, I got to carry the band with charisma. Wrap up some red roses. And I refused to sing that. That was one no where, who knows, it might have been a whole different career for me if I'd have just started singing back then. But I wanted to play drums. And I didn't really think that, I thought that was a corny song. It just so happened it was in the book. But, so Mrs. Glennon said, hey, you got to sing. You need to sing. People like that.
People like that. I like that. People like that.
People like that. And so anyway, yeah. But I don't know if we had a name for it. That would be interesting. Pete and I had a name for our thing, but I can't remember what it was.
Okay.
So, but that was it. That's where it all started. I mean, it started before that, seeing the Beatles, obviously. I mean, I liked Elvis Presley a little bit because the guy who lived next door to me, his mom was a big Elvis freak. So she had every record, and every time I went over there, I heard all these great records. And I remember the first couple songs that I liked from Elvis Presley. One was Wooden Heart, which was really kind of a corny one. But then there was one, Return to Sender. I just was knocked out. I was like, what the heck? And then the first record I bought was Server Bird by the Trashmen. So I had this thing. I liked that sound. It was 2 guitars, bass, drums, and a really raunchy singer. And so I think that always stayed with me. And there was this guy across the street, lived across the street from us. They had a band, but they were more like what we call greasers. So they had the big pompadours, they had saxophones, and they played more like surf music, like ding 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 ding. That's all they did. But it was they would practice in the garage, and it would come blasting right into our house. So my dad would say, "No more of that. Knock it off." So it was weird, because I kind of liked it, but then, it had to stop, because they were kind of hoods,
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of looking for trouble too.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then the Fastbacks rehearsed up the street, so there were the bands all around me. So that's how I got. I couldn't avoid it.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things. I was just drawn right into it, just pulled in.
And then, is the first band that toured called the Yipes?
No, the Yipes was actually.
Oh no, Men About Town.
Oh no. The Yipes was the band that got signed. That's the one that was. So we had been together. The core of us had been together for. Right out of high school, or in high school, and then, I guess we played for. God, we played for almost 6 or 7 years. So we got a lot of experience. That's how we got good.
Which one?
Well, it was various bands. So it started off. Okay, yeah. So then the first band with Pete and his brother, and Pat McCurdy, and because we all went to school together, and Juan wasn't in it right away. It was just us 4 at first.
You just called John Strand Pete's brother.
Yeah, Pete's brother John was on drums.
Okay.
Yeah. And then their big brother Dave was the one who had the band, and he had drums. So John got hand-me-down drums from Dave, and I only had a snare drum from school, right?
Right.
So I never had a kit. But John and I would take turns on the kit, but then it was John's drums, so he had to be the drummer. So I had to pick up the guitar at that point.
Tell us that story.
Well, I just, I knew all the songs. I could sing, so I knew all the Beatle tunes. I knew a ton of songs, and I knew how to sing harmony naturally. And I did really well in chorus in school and stuff. I had great pitch and all that stuff. So then I figured, okay, I got to pick up this guitar. So Pete played, John played, everybody played guitar except me. And so I said, well, I got to learn. So they showed me some chords, blah, blah, blah. And I started playing. We started playing out when I was learning. So I was kind of learning on stage how to play guitar. So
Sure.
I was paid to play from the very beginning.
Age 15.
Yeah. That was it.
Sink or swim.
Sink or swim. It's like that's the first time that fear is instilled into you. They might kick me out if I don't cut it.
Right.
So you just keep going. You just go like, hey, there's always somebody that can take your place, Just move in and go like, hey, we like you. You're out. It's very cold business.
Very cold.
It's so cold.
I feel cold just thinking about how cold it is.
It's so cold. God, it's just like, oh gosh, it's
shivering.
ice cubes
My
on
teeth
ice
are
cream
clacking.
in a deep freeze. That's how cold it is. Yeah. So yeah, and then and
So
all
that
that, and then
band
that
was-
led, and then we played a lot
Yeah.
because the drinking age was 18. So our bars were always filled with people, Oh, oh, wow! There was a little glitch on the tape there.
Yep.
Little glitch. We have a fan in here. Okay, but yeah. So, so then those. So let's see. It would be. So yeah. So we played for 4 years. Some of the guys went to college. I didn't. Then we added Juan, who was also somebody that I met at school, and he was a singer, and he had some gear. So he said, "Hey, why don't you join?" And then we became a 5-piece with Juan, and we got very popular because there was a big sort of a 50s. Sha Na Na got real big because they played at Woodstock, and it was like this freaky thing. It was like, what are these guys doing? Are they real? They were hoods and greasers. It was like they were really like, but they could play. They played everything really fast. It was like punk. It was like the very first strains of punk, really, I thought, and we liked that. So we got leather jackets and greased our hair back and started doing that, and all of a sudden everybody loved us. We just, we got so popular.
What was that band called?
That was called Rory Slick and the Roadsters. The one before, with just the 4 of us, before Juan, was called Bare Nerve Blues.
Right.
And then we played just everything we liked, Beatles songs. We just continued to do that, but then once we started into that 50s thing, we made so much money. We played everywhere. We used to do sock hops with Bob Reitman. He's a DJ.
In Milwaukee still.
Yeah, it still is. Yeah.
So that must have been when your dad said to you, "Get a job."
Well, yeah, he said do something. Find something. Yeah, he said, and so we kind of already was.
And you said, "I am."
Well, I didn't realize it at first because I didn't. It's funny. People don't consider playing music something.
Yeah.
That's sort of like most parents that I knew, except for my parents and Pete, John, and Dave's parents, weren't very supportive. They figured, hey, this can't last.
Right.
You're never gonna. This isn't going to amount to anything.
Just knowing your mom, though,
they loved us. They came to see us play all the time.
Yeah.
They liked it. They didn't, and like I said, John, Pete, Pat, they went to UW-Madison, so they were continuing their higher education, and it wasn't getting in the way.
Yeah.
It was actually supplementing their incomes. We made a lot of money on the weekends,
Sure.
and then once they were there, we got a lot of jobs during the week too.
Okay.
And then we attracted we attracted booking agents because of the 18-year-old drinking age. It's like booking agents could have careers booking bands because all these places were crowded. Even if you sucked as a band, that place would come see you.
Sure.
Because they came to see live music.
Sure.
18 to 21-year-olds that was the bread and butter.
Yeah.
It still is. I wish they would. I always lament that. I wish they would shoot that back to 18. Just make it 18 across the board. If there were problems around here because in Illinois it was 21, so they would come across the border and drink, and then when they drive home drunk, and then that's when that was not good.
People.
So if they would just make it 18 everywhere, musicians could make a living, booking agents could make a living, managers could make a living, people could have fun, binge drinking would disappear. It would be a better world. But anyway.
According to Mike Hoffmann.
Yeah. So anyway, all that stuff led up to, so there was 4 years, and then at that point we went, when those guys were getting ready to graduate, we were about to become full time.
Okay.
So I stopped working at a regular job then, way back then.
Pushing screws and washers.
Well, I was cleaning carpets. That was my last real job.
Jumping down the giant elevator.
Yeah, that was a fun thing. We used to clean carpets in the what was in the first Wisconsin building.
Yeah.
So we were our boss was contracted to do all. I think they had 18 of the floors, but they were the top floors. So we used to take I discovered the freight elevator. you could go all the way to the top, and then when you push the button to go down, it would just drop. And you could jump at the same time, and then you'd be in zero gravity for a split second. You'd actually be floating, and then those... It's great.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because the freight elevators move like irresponsibly fast. That's why they don't allow the public in those things.
Sure.
Because people would actually be they smashed at the ribbons and
Right.
falling over, and it'd be
Yeah.
traumatic.
Yeah, they might not. Do they have counterweights? Maybe they don't, or they don't have safety sides or something like that.
Well, they're smooth. They're just fast.
Oh, so then.
So they're just sort of like you really have to kind of
Yeah, hang on for dear.
yeah. The brakes hit really fast at the end and
There's that
shoots
one.
to the top like really fast. Where you're kind of like whoa.
There's that one at UWM that I go on, but it's only 4 stories, so it doesn't really count.
So yeah, that was 41. So I would always go to the top,
Oh my goodness.
and there was no 13th floor because they just used that. That's bad luck.
There's even
So, and I used to look out the window all the time
There's a
because
window
we
in
used
the
to have to
window?
do it at night.
Uh-huh.
So the bank would close at 5,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd roll in at 5:30, start working at 6.
Sure.
And we'd go 6 to midnight. And
Drinking
the
Mountain
home
Dew.
bridge wasn't done then. I remember I told you that's where
Yeah.
they would just end,
Yeah.
right around the turn there, and all of a sudden, poof, and that's where they filmed the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
They did it. They had the Volkswagen. They drove a Volkswagen off that thing. Uh-oh, somebody fell down. Anyway, though, enough about me. What makes you tick? I don't know. Am I officially the first guest? I guess that's why I'm talking. Yeah. Well, yeah. So one thing leads to another, and so those 4 years before we, so then we started a band called Slick, and it was Juan, John Strand, Pete Strand, Pat, and myself. All school buddies, right?
Yeah.
So it was the core, and we all were going. We said, "Hey, let's do this." We had a booking agent then. We always attracted booking agents because we were entertaining, but it took us a while to get good. It didn't. We were our entertainment factor made up for the fact that we weren't really that slick of
Right.
musicians yet. The Pat was the most accomplished, and then I was probably second. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm blowing my own horn, but I caught up pretty quick,
Sure.
and I could sing really well, and so he and I could put together a pretty good night of singing, and Juan too. So we had these great 3-part harmonies all the time. John and Pete would do novelty numbers. Pete would sing. What did he sing in the old? He would sing. What was it? Oh God. I'm gonna forget now. Oh, My Boyfriend's Back. He did that for years. We did that all the way through Yipes, and he did it really well.
can't
It was like
imagine
it was a
Pete
big
singing
hit. Well, yeah, it was a charm. It was a charming thing.
Yeah.
It was charm. And then John would sing Sea Cruise, and what was the other one? Oh God, that's kind of racking. But it was fun because I got to when John would sing. No, he would sing Blue Moon.
Yes.
He'd go out front, and I'd get to play drums,
Oh, cool.
which I loved. So I'd go like, yeah, I get to play, yeah. And then sometimes John would come back, and we would go into the next tune, and John and I would switch as the song was going,
Well, that's
and never
cool.
miss a beat. So he'd get
Wow.
on the stool, I'd keep playing, he'd grab a stick, boom, and yeah, it was really fun. And so we did all that. We had all that shtick. We were so full of shtick, it was dumb. That's why I'm not shticky now. Now I'm a serious musician in my own mind.
Sure.
I just like to. I like to just play, and I get into it, and I get excited sometimes, and I have some moves, but it's not like I'm on, cracking jokes and
Right.
playing the Green Acres theme every chance I get, because that's kind of what we did. We killed time that way. So as we got more serious, we had to, in the better gigs that we got, the less sets we had to play. You usually had to play 4 sets. So that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of shtick. You got to stretch. And but as we started getting noticed for our original music, because Pat was the principal writer, and he's a really good songwriter. So
Yeah.
the people started taking notice of that, and then we started getting written up. And then so he left because he was off. So there was another band that offered. They really liked him, and they offered him a thing. And Pete and I kept the band going because our booking agent said, "Look, we got jobs for you. Just keep it going. Just hire a couple of guys to fill in the void, and we'll have you booked all the time." And it was true. We played we played 200 300 dates a year. It was crazy. So it was real easy to get good, and we played everywhere. And we got used to. You get used to indifference and being hated and being loved. It's all the same. You just keep going. You just okay. They loved us, great. They hated us. That feels kind of exhilarating. Indifference is the toughest one, but I mean, you just move on to the next night. You just go, okay, the hell with this one. Let's go on. We got another one tomorrow. Okay, let's do it again.
What about your story with the punk rockers, weren't they?
Oh yeah, that was in Yipes. So we did Slick, and then Pat left. We kept Slick going, and then Pat came about a year later. Said, "Hey, I want to start this thing called Yipes. We're gonna make a shot. We're gonna go for it. We're really gonna go for the top now." And so he met another guitar player, and the guitar player knew another drummer. So that was Andy and Teddy, and Pete and I and Pat, and that was Yipes. So then, yeah, we played. We started that band in less than 10 months. We were managed. We had a booking agent and a manager right away, and the manager hooked us up with this producer that wanted to see us, but we had to go to New York to play. So we got booked at Max's Kansas City, which is a legendary club. In fact, Martin Scorsese and Mick Jagger are doing a series called Vinyl on Showtime or HBO. It's about Max's Kansas City is a part of it, but it's about the rock and roll in the 70s, American rock and roll in the 70s.
Wow.
And so anyway, that was our first show. It was right before that place closed. And the Velvet Underground played there. They made it really famous. It's because somebody recorded one of their live shows with just a cassette deck. And they released it because it sounded so good.
Sure.
And
Gosh,
so that was.
I feel like I might have had that record in high school.
Yeah, it was called Velvet Underground Live at Max's Kansas City. So when we got that booked, I was like, that's it. So it was my first time in New York, all of our first time in New York. And we just were reminiscing about that because I finally found out what the name of that band was. The band we opened for was a punk band called Worms Are Us. And we got up there. And their fans sat at a table in front of me. There were like 10 punk rock guys. And they sat at a table right in front of me. And right when we hit our first downbeat, they acted like they went to sleep. They all put their heads down and they took a nap for our whole set. And then when we were done, they all got up and went over and got a beer. It was like they were really dedicated to their hatred of us.
Sure.
It was very cool. They weren't rude at all.
They wanted Worms Are Us.
They wanted Worms Are Us. And then Worms Are Us started playing, and they were all dancing and throwing each other around. They had a little mosh pit. It was crazy. So that was the big thing. They just wanted to beat each other up. So that was our first New York experience. And the producer also gave us a really great tip. You get a lot of left-handed things, but people that shoot straight, usually that's straight wisdom. You got to listen to take what you can from it. And oh, look at this! I'm ruining my sock. Anyway, a guy named Murray Krugman. He produced the band called UFO, most notably by that time, and they had a big hit called Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet. That one. And yeah, and then they had, remember that song had that bridge that Wilson floats away and then it comes back. Murray Krugman.
Okay.
He was from Minneapolis, and I remember he was wearing a Minnesota Vikings team jacket, in which we all kind of went because we were Packer fans.
Sure.
And we were like, okay.
Yeah.
But he said, and we came over and talked to him at the bar, and he said, "Hey, it's great to meet you guys. I'm glad I came to see you. You're not quite my cup of tea, but let me tell you why." He said, "I'm not sure what you are. Are you guys trying to be punks, or are you guys trying to be pop stars? Like, what do you want to? What is it?
Make a decision.
Make a decision." So it really helped. It helped us focus. Mm-hmm. So I think we were really I was really influenced. We were really influenced by the Who, a lot of Kinks, Beatles, but at that point in time, the Who, and then the Ramones were heavily on our minds. It was just we just had a lot of energy.
Yeah.
We played a lot of just super fast and super loud, and I think that he at that point he got us in the right direction, because then the stuff that the demo recordings we did after that led our manager to he was soliciting record companies, and we finally got a connection, and then we got signed within, so that was September of that year that we played New York, and by May of the following year we were cutting our first record on a major label, so we got signed somewhere in March, something like that.
Wow.
But we won a battle of the bands, which gave us all this free recording time at the studio, so we did a big demo and sent that out. I think those 14 songs.
Wow. Full album.
Yeah. And then this one label, or a subsidiary of RCA, loved us.
When did you go on Star Search? Was that
Oh, that was the band after
after
Yipes. So Yipes ran its course. We did 2 albums with RCA. And then we broke up and then started a band called Pat McCurdy and the Mad About Town. And it was, and we had a manager who was kind of a big guy in the industry now, a guy named Gary Reynolds, and he started the whole thing about corporate underwriting and sponsoring of bands. So we were sponsored by Miller Beer, and they paid for all of our posters and stuff that's really expensive. Got us great gigs around the country. That led to our first time in New Orleans, playing in New Orleans. So it was really cool. And we played in New York with that band too, but yeah, so that was and then our manager got us on Star Search. We didn't have to audition. He just hit it off with the producer. The producer said, "Hey, I like this. Yeah, bring him in. Just bring him out. We'll schedule it." So yeah, and by that time, so that's kind of like a fast forward through that band. But then that one led to EIIO. I was already asked to be in EIIO, and then we were on Star Search was sort of the last stand for me, because Pat and I weren't getting along anymore, and that band was kind of weird. It wasn't really my cup of tea, but it was something to do. And so we lost by 0.25 of a point to Sawyer Brown, and then I was out.
But I'll bet you that your whole family was watching.
Oh yeah. Well, the first EIIO rehearsal after that, they had it on tape. When I walked in, they had us losing. It was great. I went, okay, all right, fine.
Yeah,
That's
right.
funny. But it was relief to get out of that band. And that's when Pete, he stayed for a little while. He left that band a little bit after that, went to law school. And now he's a big entertainment lawyer.
And Rich Cook was in that band.
Rich Cook was in that
Was the
band.
drummer.
Yeah.
By that time, had Teddy moved, or was he still in town?
Teddy and Andy moved after Yipes moved out to L.A.
Okay.
And they tried to take their, they went for it out there.
Yeah.
And they played a lot. Andy got into a band. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was, what was it? Anyway, they got written up in the Village Voice. They were starting to make a name for themselves out of there, but then I guess it just didn't work out. And then Teddy eventually moved to Italy, where he still lives. Andy lives in Austin.
Yeah.
And, and then, do you want me to keep going with my biography, or
I'm super
But
curious.
that's what got me to the level. Which what do you call it? I guess those are my 10,000 hours.
Right.
Were basically in 5 years,
Yeah.
and then I was signed to a major label, which was the goal. I mean, the goal was to, of course, get a #1 hit, and get a platinum record or something. That didn't happen right away. But to get on that level, and then that was the band where we did our first big tours, where we played arenas, auditoriums, arenas, big theaters.
Men About Town.
No, Yipes.
Yipes.
Yeah. Yeah,
right,
we toured.
on RCA.
Yeah, we opened up for Jefferson Starship, Kansas, everybody. We toured with Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes. What else? There was a ton. We opened up for a ton of people, but I just can't remember any of them now.
Well, that's all right.
We played everywhere, and we had big time bookers. we had our manager and big time New York based record company. All the things you need, all the things you dream of. Limo rides. Yeah, the second time we went to New York. So okay, the first time was that to play for Murray Krugman, and we opened up for Worms Are Us at Max's Kansas City. Then we got signed, cut our record in May of that next year. It was released in August of that next year, and then before the release, we had to go to New York and we did a press junket. We did play, we went to a party and all the New York press was there and stuff like that. And we went to visited our record label, and we got picked up at the airport in 2 limousines, and we just when we got over I think it was the Triborough Bridge, we were in Manhattan, and we're just having a great time. We're just living it up, right? And all of a sudden, the driver slams on the brakes. We all look forward, and he almost hit Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol's glaring at us like, how dare you? I'll never forget it. I was like, that's Andy Warhol. We almost killed Andy Warhol.
Welcome to New York City.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, and then we learned how to walk around without, getting killed. 'Cause it was rough back then. It was like, Times Square was not fun.
Yeah.
You could get... You just really had to watch out.
Yeah. Ugly.
You couldn't let people get too close to you. Because if they bumped into you, they either pick your pocket or they might
stab you.
Stuff like that.
You can't.
Now it's nice.
Yeah. Warm
We were there when it was nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then EIIO and Semi-Twing happened around the same. I mean, you started with EIIO, but then Semi-Twing also took off.
Yeah.
And Semi-Twing's still going, which is really neat.
And so is EIIO, but we just haven't played in a long time. But
Right.
we're both bands still crank out records. And it was funny because we were both, talk about great situation. But both those bands. We were both on labels, and I had to choose to be in one or the other because I couldn't do both apparently.
And Semi-Twing, EIIO was in what, Frontier? On Frontier?
On Frontier, Demon first, out of England, which was that was Elvis Costello and Jake Riviera, his manager. That was their label. They really liked us. Everybody. There was a ton of people on. If you can look that up, look up Demon, and you can see all the artists that have been on that record, that label. It's pretty cool.
And then Semi-Twing was on Warner Brothers.
We were on Warner Brothers.
Salty Tears.
Salty Tears. Yeah. And we had a great producer. We had 3 great producers. Chris Thomas, who actually started off in the Air Studios with George Martin. So he actually
Of
produced
the Beatles.
Yeah, the Beatles. So he produced the Beatles on the White Album, and he played Mellotron on Bungalow Bill and all that stuff.
So cool.
Yeah, that's where he cut his teeth, And that was a program. That's kind of like the other facet of my career has been producing. So it's like you learn that stuff when you're in the studio with producers and engineers. It's an internship basically.
Yeah.
You just pay attention and all that stuff rubs off on you. So George Martin was doing that with people.
Chris Thomas.
Chris Thomas was one of them. And then he went on to do. He produced all the Badfinger records, and then the Sex Pistols, and it's all just everybody. Pete Townsend, Elton John. He did all these big. In Excess, he did their biggest record. He went to do that record right after he worked with Semi-Twang.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He said, "Well, I'm off to Australia now." Cutting a record with he didn't sound. He had a real proper English accent. He was well educated. But
who were the background singers on Salty Tears? There were 2 women, weren't there?
Well, it was Mary Clayton who sang with the Stones. She was the one who sang Just a Shot Away. She's the voice. She was 19 when she did that.
Oh my gosh.
She was, but man, yeah. And she had 2 other. I can't remember their names.
Okay,
they're listed on the record.
Yeah.
But they were a trio, and they were just great. They just arranged it. They arranged those vocals. They would listen.
Yep.
A couple of times, and they'd put it together, and then Mitchell Froome. He was the other producer, and Jerry Harrison was the other producer. We had 3 producers. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Watching that session.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sang on Salty Tears, and they also sang on after hours. They did some humming on that. It's funny. That's all they did is hummed. But they're there.
They're there.
Yeah, they were really fast.
Then after semi-twang, did you go right into carnival strippers?
Yeah, it was pretty quick. You know, semi-twang I played with a band called Cherry Cake for a while. That had Tommy, who was the drummer in EIEIO, and his brother Mike. And that was good. I mean, I had produced them first.
The Chachos.
The Chachos, yeah. The Chacho brothers. And then they got how did it happen? I produced their first two demos, which did really well. You know, and then I left Semi-Twang, and Mike said, "Hey, you know, why don't you be in this band?" I said, well, "All right, yeah, it'd be fun," because it was a lot harder. It was a harder rock thing. It was more of a, I liked it a lot. But their songs were super catchy, but they were definitely an edgy band. They were definitely an underground, edgier band, and so then I was in that for a while, and then that's when I got a call from Loie Nelson, who we had produced in Semi-Twang, and then she got signed to Warner Brothers, and she did one record with Warner Brothers, and then she got dropped, and she called me and said, "Hey, I'm starting this band in New York, and you've got to be in it. It's called Carnival Strippers." And she was befriended by a lot of people out there. Doc Pomus, who was a famous songwriter. He was stricken with polio as a kid. He had polio as old, so he was always in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. He used to have lunch with John Lennon all the time. Wow. John Lennon would wear a beard, and he'd wear a disguise, and then they'd meet and eat at these little diners and stuff. And Doc and Dr. John, whose real name is Mac Rebenak, they wrote a song for Loie. They liked her voice so much. It was called "In the Shadows." So she said, "Yeah, I got this song they wrote for me, and I got all these new songs, and they need a band." And I got it. So it was the bass. She had the bass player from, what was the name of the band that Patti Smythe was in? This, what was it called?
You just texted it to me the other day.
Yeah, it's like, "Goodbye to you."
Yeah.
Goodbye to you. That one. So I almost thought of it. Anyway, that band,
yes.
Their bass player Ivan,
yes,
was recruited.
Okay.
So that, and then a guy named Rongo Grump. Or was it Rongo? Yeah, it was Rongo Grump, and he was from Missouri, Springfield, Missouri. He was the drummer for the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. I think he still does, but he was based in New York at the time, and so he was a drummer, really good drummer. And then me on guitar, and it was a quartet. And then but she still had a publishing deal with Warner Chappell, and then she and I wrote songs together, and then I got a publishing deal. And then Steve Jordan, who was he was originally the Late Night with Dave Letterman's drummer on Late Night, and then he was Keith Richards' drummer and producer at that time. He really liked us. So then we kind of wrote songs with him, and then he produced some stuff for us in New York, and it all led to getting signed, to another label. And
was it?
That was Fox, and then that we got a song in the movie Speed out of that deal. And then I got a publishing. I was a Warner Chappell writer then. I'm still a Warner Chappell writer again.
Yeah.
Published by Warner Chappell these days. With through Semi-Twang and Delta Routine.
Yeah.
Oh, how did I get the Delta Routine? Well, anyway, so where was I?
Carnival Strippers led to.
Well, then Carnival Strippers led to. I was working with Victor.
Yeah, Pancake.
Victor and I were partners at the time, and he said, I want to do this record. I don't want to do it in a hurry. And Victor's in the Violent Femmes, and So he and I put together this record, and then we ended up getting signed.
By?
And that was on Alamo Sound's Geffen. So it was basically Geffen. And So all that all just happened. We're talking a lot of years, but that took up all that time real fast. And then yeah, and then I played in some bands that didn't get signed. So I was with Men About Town didn't get signed, but that was probably 2.5 years. Where am I at? Then after Victor, after Pancake Day, then I got married, and I played 3 years with my wife, who was a musician. Her name is Melanie Jane. Might as well plug it, because I do have a product out with her. So anyway, but yeah, that was
Probably
3
cut
years.
that out of there.
We can we'll edit that out. And so yeah, I was kind of adding this up with one day I was just going like, okay, I was just divvying up accounting for all the time.
Yeah.
And each band that got signed was a kind of a 3 to 4 year proposition.
Sure.
Total.
Some overlap probably.
Yeah. So that's like 6 right there. And then, so 6 times 4, 24 years, 25 years, something like between 25 and 30 years, depending on, what's going on. And then a couple of years with the band that didn't get signed. 3 years with another band that didn't get signed. A couple of years with another band that didn't get signed. And then now the Delta routine. So takes me up to today. But the Delta routine is doing pretty good, I guess. It's a really good band.
Great records.
Yeah, we make great records. But in that whole time, I think the biggest thing also is what I've grown up throughout my career, what I've seen change. So I came in, we sort of, our entry was kind of the end of an era of like an old school era, vinyl, and the old time, big wig record presidents that were kind of had big voice, big loud guys that were like, the only thing they didn't do was smoke cigars and go like, get out of my office. But
right.
they were big, they were big mogul type guys, right? And things started to change, after that. Music started changing, and then the drinking age went back up. So it was a little bit harder to play a lot. It was booking agents had a lot tougher jobs. So that evolved, and then the independent record label era started coming around. We started doing our own records, sure, rather than trying to attract major labels to cut them for you.
Right.
Just deliver them and then shop your finished product, and which is what everybody does now.
Right.
So, and then the formats changed. So, I mean, we went to CDs, and then also MP3s started to dismantle the business.
Yeah.
And, so there's been a lot of changes. But vinyl is back, kind of.
Yeah.
Vinyl's a fun thing.
That's fun.
Yeah. So that's kind of in a nutshell. I'm sure we could do many other episodes where we really get into the nitty-gritty, the nasty stories.
Stories people would fear.
With fear. Fear.
They might never want to hear them.
Look at this. 53 minutes I've been talking.
Holy snakes.
Yeah, this is way too long.
You got a lot to say, Mike Hoffmann.
What?
You got a lot to say, Mike Hoffmann.
Well, yeah. Well, you're asking the questions.
I am asking the questions.
I mean, I'm not saying, hey, cut it out, but that's, I mean.
Should we talk about?
Oh, yeah.
Should we talk about how you were a sick child, and how you were vulnerable, and saw a look in your dad's eyes?
Yeah. Well,
fear.
Yeah, when people think you're gonna die, or when they don't know what's wrong with you quite yet, and things are definitely wrong with you. Yeah, it's kind of a strange thing. But when you're 5, or when you're 4 going on 5, yeah, it's a little weird.
For sure.
Yeah, you can tell that people are worried. Adults, you can tell that adults are worried. Yeah. But it also makes you kind of feel, you're the center of attention. But a lot of that attention you don't want, like being in a hospital, going through surgery, getting spinal taps.
Yeah.
Getting big shots. They used to draw blood back then, and they used these big hypodermic needles. They look like horse needles.
Yeah, 8 inches long.
Yeah.
Or longer.
And now they've got them where they just, they
Yeah.
put them in and they have the vacuum tube.
Yeah.
It just gets sucked out of there. They used to have to pull it out
Oh my God.
with the thing. They retract the plunger, and those vials were like,
Oh.
they were this big. They were this big around. They were like what would that be? Like 3/4 of an inch around, and probably 5 to 6 inches. Suck that out of you. And I'm 5, so the needle looks like it's gigantic.
Yeah, it looks like it's 3 feet
Yeah,
long.
it looked like a dagger. Coming in, psycho. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so I survived that.
So you've introduced me to film.
Yeah, you sound really far away.
I am far away.
Here,
So you've introduced me to film.
Yeah. Well, I think you already liked film. I just think that you probably look at it. Maybe you look at it differently now because I'm such a jerk about it.
No, I can remember
serious.
on our first date we watched a movie and I talked through the whole thing and you just didn't
Did
look
I
at
keep?
me.
Did I? Oh, really?
Yeah, you did once in a while, and then you
What did we? Oh, God.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, sure. Well, and that's
You'd
like
probably seen it already a million times.
yeah, there was an entertainment, just a little, fanciful.
You asked me out, and you said, "Do you want to go out to eat or eat at home?" And I said, "Eat at home." And I went to my knitting group, and I told them I was going out with a new guy who had asked me out, and I met him at the bar where I was bartending, and they said, "Well, where is he taking you?" And I said, "We're gonna eat at his house. He's gonna cook." And they said, "You're gonna get killed." I looked at them and I said, "He's like my size. He can't kill me. He wouldn't even kill a spider. He'll be fine."
Wow, that's kind of like from Psycho.
Yes.
Speaking of movies,
Right?
why he wouldn't? They'll look at me and they'll say, "Why, she wouldn't harm anybody."
He
It's
wouldn't
like,
hurt a fly.
see that fly? See that fly on my arm? I won't even swat it. And they'll look at me and they'll say, "Why, she wouldn't even hurt a fly."
Is that from Psycho?
Yeah, that's how it ends. That's the last line in the movie.
Oh my
And
God.
then he looks up at the camera, and that's when they superimpose the skull, of her skull.
Oh my God. So I've seen that
That's
movie
so scary.
once, and it was with you, and we saw it outside.
We saw it at the lakefront.
And
yes.
I
At
hit you
at
after 20 minutes after she died. I said, "No way!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the shocking thing about in the history of motion pictures. The leading lady, a well-known actress, Janet Leigh, is killed 20 minutes into the film.
Right.
It was like crazy.
You said your mom couldn't shower alone
Right.
for how many?
For as long as I can remember. I mean, she finally, I think, kind of got over it. I think it took her like 20 years.
Wow, because it's scary.
Yeah, it was. She said she would always say,
Stick around.
she'd go like, "When are you leaving?" I said, "Well, I'm going to leave in a little bit." She said, "Well, let me take a shower first."
Yeah.
So she'd hop in
Isn't
there
that
and to get it
incredible?
out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
But I'm glad, it's like I was never, I'm so glad that I appreciated that.
Well, and one of the things that I think you notice in film, you're able to detach it from reality, but not everybody is. And when right before seeing, what did I just see?
Oh, you just saw, oh yeah, you saw, there was a Milwaukee Film Festival that showed The Shining.
The Shining. And I'd
Yeah,
wanted
Stanley
to see it, but
Kubrick's.
it was too scary. And so you showed me the making of.
Right.
And that uncovered it. And so I went with my brother-in-law, Chuck. And at the end, he said, "See, that wasn't scary. Jessica should be able to do that, my sister. Should be able to sit through that." And I said, when he was in that pantry, I had to remember Stanley Kubrick is on the ground shooting from underneath. There's a camera from underneath. This is all acting. He turns around. Jack Nicholson turns around. And it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Woo, he does. But scary movies are like that for some people, I think. More
Yeah,
than
well,
others.
but you know what? It's like that. I love it because Alfred Hitchcock said it. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but basically he said, my principal job is to create fright through the cutting of the film.
Wow.
So it's all in the edits. It's how well, obviously the camera angles, but it's like how you throw it, pace it.
Yeah.
Where that you create more fright.
Yeah.
The momentum should be unbearable.
Yeah.
If he does his job right.
Oof,
it's kind of cruel.
Yeah,
in a
it's
way.
totally.
But yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Although there are definitely movies in my time that just really got to me. But I didn't. But I realized they're movies, but they stayed with me. And The Exorcist was one that was just like that. The Exorcist and Deliverance were shocking movies. What do they call it? They have a America's Youth today calls it something else. When the quick fright.
Oh.
It's called. Oh God, there's a term for it.
Of all people, it's not going to be me who knows it. Sorry.
But anyway, that started with those two films, and then Carrie came. And there was all those where all of a sudden it's like
blood. Yeah.
And there's a term for that now.
Huh.
But anyway, those started back then where you actually, I was like in The Exorcist in the theater, I was thrown back in my seat the first time because it was so shocking.
Sure.
And you just had this feeling like it was coming out to get you. It was like going to spill off the screen. And
okay.
And we used to take people after that just to see how they would react.
Oh my gosh.
We wouldn't tell them anything about it.
Oh my gosh.
But they would know after
Sure.
the first week. Everybody knew that film was like creating such a stir. But I remember the second time I saw it, we went to the Capitol Court Theater back then. Or no, I'm sorry, Mayfair Theater. It's not what it is now. It was a separate building. And it was January, and it was like cold. There were lines to get in.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I saw it. The exit was right where the entrance was. So the line is moving in, and the showing before was letting out, and everybody was pale.
Oh my.
I mean, everyone looked like the color of a plumber's candle, and they were drained. And I'm going like, what the heck's going on in this place, And
it's now not an appropriate time to tell you I've never seen a plumber's candle.
Apparently, it's just like a shade of gray.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's an expression I heard a long time ago, and I've just never been able to let go of it.
It's a good expression, I guess. I need to go buy myself a plumber's candle.
Plumber's candle. And it's like, I don't know, I guess plumber's
fire.
candles just don't go out
Oh.
because they needed them. But they use flashlights now.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah, so the second time then, I just wanted to, I was leading my stories. That's why we're going on 4 hours here. The second time we took some people, we had to wait in line, and then we had a car running, and we would take turns holding the spot in line, and it was just insanely cold. We'd get in, and I watched everybody. This time I watched the theater. When I knew if something was going to happen, I'd watch. And I saw people throwing themselves. They got thrown back, and there was loud screaming. I mean, terror. And people would just get thrust back in their seats every time. Every single time. And there's even a few in that movie that are not big ones. There's a lot of big ones, but there are some that are just sort of creepy, where it's sort of like, just people were so affected by that movie. And but so those were, I kind of had to, when I'd go home later, I'd go like, oh God, I didn't want to look out the window. I'd close the curtains. Shut the closet doors. I didn't want any doors just kind of open. No. I was just, I didn't want it to be quiet.
Yeah.
And it's just weird because at that point in time, my parents they'd go away. Sometimes they would go to visit my mom's parents down in Indiana and stuff. So sometimes I'd be home alone, and I'd get home really late, and all of a sudden it'd be like, oh no.
Get a night transistor radio.
I turned the lights on in the basement just to be safe. Really stupid things.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. Well, that was the first time that I saw. So on broadcast television, this was before cable. They would the last movie on Saturday night would end at about 4:30, and one night it was Psycho,
Oh my
And
god.
I'd seen Psycho, but it was, see, when it came out, right, in 1960. In 1966, it was going to premiere on television, but it was an edited version.
No
They
toilet.
took a lot of the shower scene out of it. They cut a lot of stuff out of it, and because there was an Illinois congressman whose daughter was murdered.
Oh my.
She was raped and murdered. There was a lot of that going on in the mid '60s. There was a guy here in Milwaukee that was doing it. There was a guy down in Chicago that was doing it, or I should say the suburbs. These weren't city murders. These were suburban murders of like teenage girls that were in high school that were suburban girls, right? And then there was, Richard Speck killed the 8 nurses at the nursing school. And so there was that kind of stuff was going on.
Guy in New York City.
That was later. That was the next decade.
Okay.
That was different. This was just specifically. Well, anyway, network canceled the showing of Psycho on television because of that girl, because she was stabbed. Right.
Wow.
Yeah, it was freaky. It was totally freaky. So then it premiered some years later, like in the early '70s. It came back on again, but it was unedited. Well, I didn't know it that night, and now there I am at 4:30, real drowsy, and going like all the way through. I'm going like that. I've never seen the whole shower scene, and the whole shower scene was in that, and I'm kind of getting creeped out. And then the very last shot is she wouldn't harm a fly. He looks up at the camera. The ghoulish face is superimposed, and then they dissolve to the car being pulled out of the quicksand, where Janet Leigh was in the trunk, and now Channel 6 is going to sign off, and I'm like, no! So I kick the radio on, and I'm like, oh my God, don't go in the hallway, because that was still when we were in the house in Brookfield, so I still had all my recollections of all the things that scared me about the house from being a little kid. So my room was the closest to my parents, and then there was a bit of a hallway that went down to their room, right? So that hallway was dark. I'd go down, I'd look that way, and it sometimes would be very dark, and I hated that. If I looked, the other way was the bathroom and then my sister's room, and then behind it was a kitchen, so. But that hallway was there, and I was like, oh, God. I just remember going like, I'm not going to move for a little bit. I'm just not going to do anything.
Seriously.
Yeah, that was strange. But yeah, that's how some movies can get to you.
Yeah.
But that's where I really learned to appreciate the making of it. I think I was really into the mechanics of it. Super interested in that. I was really into Citizen Kane, and I was just an Orson Welles fanatic, and so I was really just as overtaken with the notion that I wanted to make films.
Yeah.
It was just so the technology helped me get through a lot of those just basically really scary movies, I think. Although there's one that I won't watch now that I started to watch. This is like, God, when this movie came out 10 or 15 years ago. It's a French movie called Man Bites Dog. It's about a film crew. Kind of a mockumentary.
Uh-huh.
It's a documentary of a film crew following a serial killer.
Oh my God.
Around doing his thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's bad. I stopped watching it after 20 minutes.
Whoa.
Because it had me.
Whoa.
It got me, and I said, I've never done that with any movie. So I won't. I don't care to watch that one anymore.
Wow.
Because the murder scenes look too real for me. I almost thought for a minute there was a snuff film. I'm going like, are these people really being killed?
Oh my gosh.
It was really creepy.
We should
Don't ever
call
watch it.
We should contact the director.
Yeah, we could look it up. God, you don't even want the trailer's even kind of creepy. You don't even want. But the thing is, the killer is very kind of happy-go-lucky and kind of this. He's full of energy, and he's got charisma. And he's lethal.
I don't want any part of that.
Yeah, it's terrible. Which means it's well done. It's like it's supremely well done because I won't watch it.
Yeah.
I saw enough. Said, okay, you did your job. No more for me. I reckon that there's people that saw that movie and went, no big deal. But for some reason, there was something in it that got to me.
Wow.
Well, it looked like it was shot in 16 millimeter,
Mm-hmm.
and it was black and white. So it really looked like it looked like it was things were really happening. But then when I think about it now, certainly there's no film crew in their right mind would be really doing this.
Right.
You know, there's a guy filming this, so that's not really happening. But wow, yeah, the lady on the train, very realistic murder. There was an old lady that he scares to death by just shouting, you know, and it's like just this really, you know, brutal, highly personal stuff, you know. That's what creeped me out the most about how personal it was. Which, you know, same elements as Psycho when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anytime there's like you know, strangulation or stabbing or anything, you know, anything not involving a gun is a very personal, close occurrence. You know, it's you know, the murderer has to get close to do the deed. You know, it's like,
God, this is scary, Mike.
oh, I'm sorry, but anyway, that's the power of film. And so yeah, so I'm totally into films. I love that. I love it a lot. I wish I would have, you know, I love The Shining. I think I was telling you that Pete and I saw that. We were in New York. We saw that in New York because we were out there. We were either playing in Yipes or we were out there. We might have been out there doing that press thing. I can't remember for sure. But yeah, we saw it in Times Square. We waited in a long line to get in.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really something.
That's cool.
But yeah. Oh, you know, you're good.
Well, how about
Should we take a break?
How about we plan another time
Let's do that. Yeah,
when we talk more about film?
that'd be great. Yeah, we can talk about films we like.
Well, thank you. The most charming, handsome Mike Hoffmann.
You have such good taste. I mean,
Love you to pieces, sweetie.
love you too. Thanks a lot. This is fun.
Talk to you soon.